Oakland, California is the most incredible place in the world, and Oaklanders are the most incredible people. As a community that stands together, that fights, that cares, that dreams, the Oakland State of the City is delivered every October. Last year, October 2020, found us in the depths of a global pandemic. As we continue to fight for our values, we have never been stronger because of our resilience. I'm so proud of how this community has shown up in this moment of crisis. Who could have ever imagined a global pandemic? And it just exacerbated all the inequities, all the disparities that had already plagued our community and frankly, the whole world. But Oaklanders would not accept the status quo. We got creative and we listened to our communities. We recognized the power of trusted messengers. We knew that government could not do this alone. We had to lift up and expand the trust that had been built by our community-based organizations.
For Roots and for us, because we were also out there really stepping out in the crisis and knowing that East Oakland was going to be disproportionately hit, that it made us feel not alone. It made us feel like, you know, we're out here on the front lines, but the city has our back. And so it definitely made me feel like the city was recognizing who was out there and making sure that we were supported. The city stood up a number of programs and services that I feel like traditionally might be outside the scope of a city. There was just so many ways in which I feel like the city responded immediately and didn't necessarily wait for outside help.
In 2020, Oakland was a founding member of Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, and this year we launched one of the largest demonstrations of guaranteed income in the country, privately funded by philanthropy. 600 Oakland families will receive $500 a month, no strings attached.
Being part of the Oakland Resilient Families program helps me to better myself. Back when times were dark for me, I was on drugs and alcohol. I've been in the program for 3 months. I have received 3 payments. It has allowed me to free up a few bills, and also it has given me the opportunity to set some long-term goals. I want to start off with my own pantry, and then advance to maybe helping women with children when they come out of prison.
The Oakland Resilient Families is showing it can be done in a way that isn't just going to help families in Oakland, but is going to create an example for policy change at the state and federal level. This is the type of security every family deserves, and we are showing that in Oakland. We don't limit ourselves to what is in our direct authority. The partnerships are what lets us go big. Things like Oakland Undivided, because the city joined with the school district and had a vision that was so much bigger than just keeping our kids learning in their classrooms, to think about how every family was experiencing the isolation of not having technology during a pandemic.
Some of the first kind of levels of fear and anxiety among our school communities was, well, how are kids going to learn? A lot of our educators were just so deeply aware of how many kids didn't have access to technology. And so that's really how the vision of Oakland Undivided started. It really started from this deep sense, this deep moral imperative of we need to make sure our students and families have the basics.
And to think long term, not just slap a Band-Aid on it, but what does it look like to close the digital divide for good?
So at the start of the pandemic, about 12% of our students had access to a device and to wireless connection. And just thanks to the success of our initiative and our partnership, close to the end of the first year of the pandemic, about 98% of our students and families had access, to both the Chromebook and also Wi-Fi. And we've continued to have ongoing partnerships with T-Mobile and others, because no one institution or kind of segment of the community can do any of this work alone. I always assumed the relationship that I have with our mayor was normal, was the norm, right, across the nation. And I realized that that actually isn't the case. Our relationship is actually fairly unique. He already came to this particular moment with a deep relationship and a commitment around understanding that the health of students is really a projection of the health of the city, right? You can't really care for a thriving city without thinking about the educational system and really what students need. So I think having that frame of mind and that vision, probably us both being from Oakland, both being products of Oakland schools, there was a lot of being on the same page, if you will.
And the Brilliant Baby is the part of the Oakland promise that I'm most proud of. We are here as a community to support your journey into opportunity, into reaching all your dreams.
Brilliant Baby is helping the families, giving them $500 for education for their young children. I think by being part of Brilliant Baby, I am teaching my children that they can dream, they can be better, they can make a goal and achieve that goal. With Brilliant Baby, I start putting goals in front of me, and I've been reaching one after the other one. And they know, my children know about that, and that's made me very happy because they're learning. And when I start the coaching and the community connection with them, I feel very enthusiastic to see a better future for my family and my children.
In 2021, we enroll our 1,000th Brilliant Baby, who gets a $500 college savings account that will grow over time with interest, whose parents get a financial coach to help them navigate being parents, setting dreams and goals for themselves as a family, not just for their child, but for their immediate needs. 1,000 families have been touched by this nationally recognized program that really is creating a village in Oakland to raise our children. The Oakland way of addressing homelessness is to never walk by our unsheltered neighbors, but to walk towards them. We are trying to get as many people off of the street and into safety and services. We are moving people from homeless to housed.
My first night in my home, I cried like a big baby. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I opened up the refrigerator, I got food. I actually finally got to take a shower. Every time I pushed that key in that door, the keypad, I said, God, thank you. People forget, you know, when you live with somebody, they can put you out. The only way they can put me out is me, not paying my rent. Yeah, we have 5 bedrooms. We share a kitchen, 2 baths, rooms. I have my own personal bathroom. It's nice, I got my little privacy. The neighborhood is quiet. It used to be rowdy back in the days, and when they were trying to give me different housing, look at different housing, I see now, I said, I want to be over here. It's quiet. I mean, you don't have to worry about no drugs or nothing. Loud music, people hanging out. It's quiet. It's peaceful.
Project Home Key was intended to buy hotels and convert them into massive affordable housing projects. But in Oakland, Bay Area Community Services used that money not to buy big hotels, but to buy beautiful single-family homes in neighborhoods. My favorite was to hear about our seniors who experienced homelessness as elders. And yet this program allowed them to come back home.
When I was homeless, I seen a lot of people just walk by people, and people, they hungry. Can you feed me? And just walk by them. Even though I was on the streets, I was giving out money. Because I said, you know what? God got something in store for me.
You welcome, bro.
The city of Oakland helped a lot of people get off the streets, put them in the hotels, feeding them. I've not seen a lot of that, and it's good. It's a good thing.
Oakland created 625 affordable housing units in 2020. That's more than any other year in the past decade.
Every time I see a construction crane that is building housing, I see it as our most powerful weapon against the housing crisis here in Oakland.
Despite the pandemic, Oakland produced more units of protected affordable housing than we have for a decade. We are advocating for universal housing choice vouchers. Housing is a right, it is a basic human need, and that is something that government should provide. The name Cabin Community was selected by the very first group of unsheltered residents who came into our very first cabin community. We now have helped 1,000 Oaklanders come off the streets and into safety and services, and we continue to evolve the model. It's so great to see more of a co-governance model that involves residents in setting the rules and creating a true community. It is exciting to see that this model was recently recognized by the Bay Area Council's Economic Institute as the model most worthy of scaling for the whole Bay Area. In 2021, Oakland continued our relentless efforts to provide more dignified shelter by increasing our innovative models like cabin communities and safe RV parks. In just 4 years, Oakland has tripled the number of shelter options for our unhoused neighbors. In 2017, Oakland had only 832 shelter spaces. But by the end of 2021, we'll have nearly 2,400. Oakland is always going to fight against the status quo. That is our destiny. And certainly this year, we had some incredibly important conversations about what safety means and how it is time to reimagine what safety means and also acknowledge and recognize that police have not meant safety for everyone. How we come through this moment and recognize the progress that this department has made as part of this national conversation. And while we'll always have more work to do to ensure that everyone is treated fairly in the eyes of the law, Oakland's work with Stanford University to end racial bias in policing and reduce unnecessary negative police interactions produced results. For example, in 4 years, Oakland has decreased the number of African Americans stopped by 70%.
The city of Oakland really took a national leadership position in its Reimagining Public Safety Task Force, which brought together a diverse group of members of the community, leaders, experts in the field to really re-examine how public safety is administered and to recommend a series of new measures that would put Oakland at the forefront nationally of reimagining how public safety is administered. The notion that we should have more alternative response, to have community members respond when people are in crisis, when people are in need, they think of emergency services, primarily of police, but something that might be able to be handled by community members, trained community members in mediation, in counseling, that we really are challenging the normal response. When someone calls 911 and a police officer responds, police don't have to respond to every single incident. And through the Reimagining Public Safety process, we actually learned that a large volume of 911 calls aren't for serious and violent incidents.
Campaign Zero, 8 Can't Wait, issued a national police scorecard this year. Oakland did the best in reducing racial disparities in arrest and having the lowest rate of officer shootings. We're trying to create spaces and opportunities for people to show their creativity, their artisanship, to explore being an entrepreneur, and to let Oaklanders support Oaklanders. That is the Oakland Imagination, to see what others have not seen in places that people have forgotten or written off. And I love Liberation Park. I love looking at this corner in deep East Oakland and seeing a place of Black ownership, Black development, housing, community, homegrown businesses, a marketplace. I believe we can transform spaces that have been given over to cars or boxes, dirt lots, to places of community, of celebration, of access to housing and our stunning waterfront. Whether it's capping the 980 so that we can build housing and bring back together West Oakland and downtown, or Howard Terminal, an incredible, once-in-a-lifetime transformative project that would take a defunct container shipping terminal that hasn't moved a box for years and turn it into 18 acres of waterfront parks, the most spectacular ballpark in the world for our beloved Oakland A's to stay rooted in Oakland. 3,000 units of desperately needed housing, including deeply affordable housing, and 1.5 million square feet of hotel and retail, shops, entrepreneurs, jobs, all while keeping our working waterfront going and expanding on the entertainment district at Jack London, creating safer connections between our spectacular waterfront and the downtown. We all know Oakland has been plagued with some raggedy roads and potholes. But in 2020, our city employees set a record with our Great Pave. They paved 30 miles of beautiful, smooth roads across Oakland. And this year, they'll break their own record by paving 41 miles. Just look at this map that shows the 8 years of paving done from 2005 to 2014. And now compare it to this map, which shows what we'll complete during that same time span by the end of 2022. I believe that Oakland has the creativity and the grit to be a model for the rest of the Golden State of California, for the rest of the United States of America. A city that lifts up and celebrates diversity, inclusion, acceptance, welcoming people no matter where they came from or how they got here, or what their identity is, who they love, how they define family. I want Oakland to be a sanctuary city in every meaning of the word.
I don't think there's anything we can't accomplish together, and particularly with our that legacy of activism and fight. I think that we have a bright future to look forward to.
We're known for our great diversity, known for being the home of the Black Panther Party, known for producing extraordinary musicians and athletes and leaders, but also our everyday people who go to school here, who work here, who live here, that we want to keep Oakland vibrant. We want to keep Oakland the cultural mecca that it is throughout the Bay Area and the state of California. We have to fight to develop our city, to provide resources to those who are in need, but we have to just keep the fighting spirit alive as well.
To people who have big dreams, pursue them in Oakland. You can make it. Apply yourself. Don't tell nobody. The people say you can't do it. You can. You can. You do it.
One of my dreams for my children in Oakland is to graduate from the university and college. And other of my dreams is to buy a house.
What I dream for my grandson, Jeremiah, I dream for him to have and be afforded all the things that I wasn't able, due to my past, that I wasn't able to give to his father and to his uncle. I want him to have unlimited education. I want him to be able to go to the best of schools. I want him to have the exposure that I wasn't able to give them. And I just want him to be a free spirit. I want him just to live and love and just thrive. And I just want him to be happy and be at peace within himself. And I don't want any obstacles that come his way to deter him. I just want him to be a well-rounded child and to grow up to be a very successful and self-sufficient young man.
You have the power to define Oakland's fight, Oakland's dream, Oakland's future. I know that each and every one of us will advance that future, that equitable vision, over this next critical year, so that the state of Oakland in 2022 will be even brighter.